Extraterrestrial water has been found for the first time in a meteorite that has fallen in the UK. The Winchcombe meteorite, which crashed into a driveway in the Gloucestershire town in February last year, is also thought to hold clues about where Earth's vast oceans came from. Ashley King, a researcher in the Planetary Materials Group at the Natural History Museum, said 12% of the sample was made up of water. He told the British Science Festival, "The composition of that water is very, very similar to the composition of water in the Earth's oceans. It's a really good piece of evidence that asteroids and bodies like Winchcombe made a very important contribution to the Earth's oceans." A family who had a meteorite land outside their Cotswolds home said they thought someone had emptied a barbecue onto their drive when they saw the rocks. Meteorite. And her parents Rob and Catherine were astounded to learn that the lumps of coal they had heard thud onto their drive on the night of February 28 were in fact fragments of a 4.6 billion year old. Weighing around 300 grams in total, the meteorite pierced through the sky and crashed onto the driveway in Winchcombe, Gloucestershire, putting the family at the center of a major scientific discovery. Hannah Wilcock, 25. The meteorite is some of the most valuable space rock ever to fall on the UK and has had metal detectorists scouring fields in Gloucestershire for the past month. Yet Catherine had other more plausible theories, believing the darkened spots on the driveway were parts of a barbecue that had been dumped after the hot weather. Hannah said she had been inside her parents' home when she heard a thud. She told the BBC, "When I heard it drop, I stood up and looked out the window to see what was there. But because it was dark, I couldn't see anything. It was only the next morning when we went out that we saw it on the drive, a bit like a kind of splatter. And in all honesty, my original thought was, has someone been driving around the Cotswolds lobbing lumps of coal into people's gardens?" Dr. King also confirmed that Winchcombe was the first time a meteorite containing extraterrestrial water, albeit locked up in minerals, had fallen in the UK. He added that, because of how quickly the 1 pound, 0.5 kilograms, meteorite was retrieved, within about 12 hours, it was not contaminated by water and materials on Earth. "We always try and match the composition of the water meteorites and other extraterrestrial materials to the composition of the water on the Earth," Dr. King said. "For most meteorites the challenge we have is that they are just contaminated, whereas with Winchcombe we really know that it really hasn't been contaminated, so it's good evidence." Dr. King went on, "One of the big questions we have in planetary sciences is where did the water on Earth come from? And one of the obvious places is either through comets that have loads and loads of ice in them, or asteroids.